Namaskar, good evening. So this recent trend, this whole day has been full of announcements and results by the Union Public Service Commission, and there is an important information that ought to be shared to all the students, with all the students who are appearing for the preliminary examination that is on the 28th of May. Just 4-5 days to go before the prelims is to be held. And just before that, on the day, Union Public Service Commission has released the list of 933 recommended candidates who have been successful in the civil services examination for the year 2022. Well, another very important information coming out and has been released on the UPSC portal. The cutoff has been released much ahead of time. In fact, earlier today, and the cutoff for the year 2022 for the different stages of the examination for all the categories of the students has been released. So it is of utmost relevance, and for those of you again who will be appearing for the preliminary examinations just 4 or 5 days from now, you will be best advised to note this information. Now first up, let's look at the information that has come to us. Well, 2022, the civil services examination, in terms of the preliminary examination. So a general candidate would have to score at least 88.22. Out of 200, you are to score at least 88.22, roughly 88, 88.5, 88.9, 89, whichever way you look at it. That's the minimum threshold that you need to have so that you write your mains. Similarly, an EWS candidate would have to score 82.83, an OBC candidate would have to score 87.54, an SC candidate 74.08, a ST candidate 69.35, and thereafter the rest. This is for the preliminary examination. Now if you consider the trends, if you look at the trends as to what has been the cutoff for preliminary examinations, say in the year 2020 and 2021, well, not a lot of difference in fact. In 2020, a student in general category in 2020 would have to get around 92.51 to secure a mains spot. Similarly, in the year 2021, a general candidate would have to score 87.54 in the prelims. This is the CSP. We are asking, looking at the preliminary marks. So, roughly around 85 to 90 is what would probably be around the you'd be around the edge of the marks. However, please understand that it is not to be taken as a recommendation. Every paper is to be solved on merit, and so you should not see this trend as the general rule. In fact, there could be a possible chance that the paper might be completely easy. So any preconceived set of notions is only going to harm you. However, going forward again, if you look at the mains, the results that have been announced, along with that, the cutoff also being announced by the UPSC for mains to go to the interview stage. A general candidate, inclusive of all written scores, would score 748, and only then will an interview call come. Similarly, for an EWS candidate, 715, OBC candidate 714, SC candidate 699, ST candidate 706. And finally, the list of recommended. What's the minimum score that you need to have so that you make the cut, so that you find your name in the recommended list? Well, for general candidate, the score, the last score that has been taken is 960. In EWS, 926, OBC 923, SC 893, ST 900. Now bear in mind that the preliminary cutoff that has been put here, well, that includes the fact that you must have scored at least the qualifying marks in paper 2. So this is the score for GS1 paper, 88.2 for a general candidate. That's what you need to have minimum, plus the qualifying score in the second paper, and only then do you get a chance to write the mains. On such an illustrious day, a momentous day, an auspicious day for the 933 candidates who have been selected, recommended in the list released by the Union Public Service Commission earlier this afternoon? Well, straightforward. UPSC also releasing the key, the cutoff for the different student groups, and what would it need, what would it require from your end to go to the next stage. Bear in mind that the list has just come out, the results have just come out, there will be a lot of analysis, lot of post-mortem will be done, but this information is of utmost importance to you before the preliminary examinations, so that you know the trend, so that you are aware of the information. Okay, this is the whole primary crux of the matter, that preliminary cutoffs are hovering somewhere around 87 to 92 in the past 3 years. However, please do not take it as a recommendation. This is not a CF score. This is not the one that you should be aiming for. You are to solve the paper on merit. You are to solve the questions on merit. However, this information should guide your strategy, should guide your preparation, should guide your exam temperament when in fact you are attempting the paper. Right? At the same time, may I inform you, my dear viewers, that when it comes to the 2020 paper, when you look at the 2020 paper, well, there has been a drop. In 2020, for a general candidate to go from mains to interview, the person should have scored minimum of 736. This year, that number is 748. So obviously an increase has been seen vis-a-vis the year 2020. Similarly, in 2021, a general candidate would have to score at least 745 in the mains to get an interview call. This year, 748. Obviously, an upward trend being seen insofar as the conversion from mains to interview is concerned. The preliminary score hovering around 87 to 92. Now, if you go further back, if you go from the period from 2014 till 2019, well, often you had scores between 105, 110 being the cutoff. So, once again, let me reiterate that the paper is to be solved on merit. Do not go in with any preconceived notions. These are only to guide your strategy and should not be taken as the score that you should target. Why? Because if you are to target 90 in the paper, given that you will have human accuracy, you will eventually land up below, far below the cutoff. So please do not target these scores. These are the minimum that you need to score so as to be eligible to go forward in the examination process. Alright, please bear in mind once again that these scores are the minimum. And again, on a day when 933 candidates have secured the right to be a part of the steel frame of India, if you want to see your position, your name in the rank list, in the merit list next year, well, take these factors into consideration. At the same time, let me very quickly inform you that StudyIQ English IAS is coming up with an exclusive English-only prelims to interview hand-holding process, wherein the best of the faculties will be in charge of your preparation, will be guiding and mentoring you right from the stage of preliminary examinations up until interviews, exclusively in English language. The course beginning on June the 19th. Check out on our website studyiq.com. That should be of immense benefit to students, not just from the south of India, the northeast of India, but for anyone who is looking to prepare in the English language, who is looking to understand the concepts in English language, who is also looking for hand-holding and guidance in facing the interview board. All of that will be taken care of by the brilliant faculty and staff here at StudyIQ English IAS. Right? Again, let me reiterate before I wrap up this very short session, the cutoff being released by the Union Public Service Commission for the different stages of examination, curiously, very fast. Other years you had a little bit of time gap before the cutoffs were released by the UPSC, but today, in the year 2022, the 23rd of May, again it will go down as a red letter day for many of these students, and indeed for most of us, as the results are announced, the cutoff being announced, it's a day of immense happening. And so once again, you would be best advised to know that the cutoff for the year 2022 in the preliminary examination is, once again, let me reiterate, for a general candidate, 88.2 out of 200 plus the qualifying marks in the CSAT paper. For an EWS candidate, 82.8, OBC candidate, 87.54, SC candidate, 74.08, and an ST candidate, 69.35, and thereafter, the PWD candidates, roughly in the scores of around 49 to 41. These are indicative. These are to be treated as the minimum benchmark once again. At no point are you to focus on these numbers as absolute. It's all relative here. However, this information should guide your preparation going forward. Once again, before I wrap up the show, this small segment that we had on the cutoffs being released by UPSC ahead, 4 days ahead, 5 days ahead of the preliminary examinations that is to follow on the 28th of May, this coming Sunday. Hardly 3 to 4 days to go. Well, this information is of utmost relevance to you. Why? It tells you the general trend. It tells you where you stand in terms of your mocks. And that's all. That is where the relevance of the information ends. Why? Because you are not going to carry this figure with you in the examination hall. Therein, you are going to be solving each and every question on merit rather than with this preconceived notion that, you know what, the cutoff was this in this year or the cutoff was that in that year. That information is of no relevance to you. All right. So with that, I'll wrap it up. Very short session, but I'll be back again in half an hour as we will be continuing with the reading comprehension series. But before that, once again, if you're appearing for UPSC Civil Services Prelims this Sunday, 28th of May, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., you would be best advised to pay attention to these figures so as to gauge your own preparation, so as to understand the level of competition that's around you. On that note, it's a wrap from all of us